Hi, you groovy peeps. Welcome to day 2. So thank you to those of you that sent a little bit of feedback. The overriding feedback that I got was a kind of choice to have more freedom, be that more freedom in terms of time, definitely that's a big one. Financial freedom, that's also a big one. And also knowing your direction. So a few of you expressed this kind of this kind of knowing what you want, but also not really being in an okay place or a really yucky place, but not really being able to see where it is that you want to go. So that's kind of what I would have anticipated, but thank you so much for that feedback. So let me think of a few things that are going to be relevant to help you in this process. So one thing that might have happened as you began to just take a little bit of time to think about the choices that you would want to make if you could choose anything. What crops up sometimes when people go through this process is a little bit of doubt about the choices that you are making right now or have made in the past. There are some seemingly bad decisions that most of us have all made, right? Yep, made a few of those myself. But in the past years, I've come to really understand, not just understand with my head, but really understand with my heart and my core, my seat of self, that all of these things, all of these choices and decisions that I felt like were not great decisions or were really poor choices at the time are in fact just our teachers in disguise. So there is no such thing as a bad decision or a bad choice. It just is what it is. And every single thing will lead us onto our own evolution. There is something to learn from everybody. There is something to learn from every experience. So perhaps when we experience things, or we kind of come into an experience that we feel like instantly that we've made a bad decision or a bad choice, and that's why we're experiencing it, if we can navigate around that a little bit and come to understand and appreciate that, doesn't mean that you have to enjoy it, but just appreciate it for exactly what it is, and that is that it is there to be your teacher for you to grow and evolve from, then maybe our perspective to the things that we don't really want to experience can change a little bit. Another thing that cropped up for a few of you is the weight of the consequence of your choice. So I would like to choose this, but, and it's often thinking about another person or your family, whatever it is. So we're going to talk about this a lot more on another day. It's something that we call the 3 steps to transformation. But if you take time to connect to yourself, if you're really grounded in who you are, what you're all about, what you want to put out into the world, what is really important to you, what lights you up from the inside out, if your actions that you take are in line with that, so in line with what we call your core message or your core values, then the only possible outcome that can be is beneficial. So it may not seem like it at the time. Sometimes we make a decision and we feel like perhaps it offends somebody else, or maybe that person is going to suffer as a consequence. But how can we see into the future, right? That person might actually need to so say someone invites us out or something and we don't want to offend them, but it's going to take up lots of our time. They're one of those people that is like really energy draining and we just don't have that energy to give right now, but you feel like you have to, or that you should. And we'll talk about that tomorrow, that word. Well, you know what? I just mentioned this to somebody the other day. Like, would that person actually want you to be with them just because you feel sorry for them, or because you feel like that's something that you should do. Like, surely people want to be around people that feel like they're really enjoying their company and it's not a chore. So there's a slightly different way of looking at it. And this can apply to many, many different areas of life, many different arenas of life. So this involves getting a little bit more connected to ourselves, for us to really know what it is, like, what is my essence, what is my truth, what is it that I really want to do, what lights me up, because we do not need to live and exist in a place of just things being mundane. And even the mundane things, everything can be mundane and everything can be sacred. It's just a matter of choosing how we approach it. So I'm going to share with you a breath now that we use in Core Strength Vinyasa Yoga. I'm going to introduce it today and we'll play with it more another day. So this involves inhaling, expanding through the belly all the way down to the pelvic diaphragm. So as you inhale, it feels like everything warms and widens, spreads out, creates space from top to bottom. It's a really amazing organic breath because, of course, as we inhale, the breathing diaphragm has to drop down. So in order to encourage that, then we create more space. So it's even the pelvic floor muscles, the pelvic diaphragm muscles, they all just relax and soften a little bit. Now on the exhalation, we flip that and we start drawing in and up through the pelvic diaphragm, higher, 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 up through the midline of the body. So behind the navel, the belly muscles will move in and up just very slightly, all the way out through the crown of the head. You'll feel like you get some energy and space as you do that through the spine. So this is more working with those deeper core muscles. It's not that the belly is like expanding like a balloon and then contracting. We try to keep the more outer body muscles a little bit softer so that we can play more internally. So let's try this just for like 2 minutes together. So close your eyes, get really comfortable, and you can come back and do more time on this, but just to get a little bit of a feel of it. Begin to turn the arrows of your attention inwards to your breath. Observe the dance of your breath as it enters the body and as it leaves the body. Notice where the breath is moving. Soften anywhere that you feel like you're gripping or holding on. Relax your jaw, soften the tongue and the skin between your eyebrows. Now on your inhalations, begin to create more space as you allow the breath to expand down through the belly and into the pelvic diaphragm. So with every exhalation, there's a feeling of spreading out, expanding, warming, widening, so that all those deep core muscles, all the way down to the pelvic floor, can gently soften and spread out as you inhale. Now on the exhalation, start to squeeze and lift through the pelvic diaphragm, inwards and upwards. Behind the navel moves inwards and upwards, and send that wave of length straight out through the crown of the head as you exhale. As you inhale, the breath softens, it warms and widens once more. And on the exhalation, you squeeze and lift to assist and press the breath out from bottom to top. So inhale moves in from top to bottom to create space, warm, widen, heat, detoxify. And on the exhalation, we squeeze and lift and help the press out of the breath to detoxify even more. So that as we inhale, a fresh new breath can just flow in and flood all the way down to warm and widen one more time. You can even imagine that the breath expands further beyond the pelvic diaphragm, down into the center of the earth. And there, on the exhalation from the center of the earth, we begin to draw up that energy into the root and all the way up through the midline of the body, creating space, energizing, uplifting. Take a couple more breaths like that. Great. So open your eyes, move a little bit, get liquidy. So we're going to expand on that a little bit more, but try that a couple of times. See if you can get this idea of the expansive inhalation and the contractive exhalation that squeezes and lifts and supports you from the inside out.